Alright, so today I want to show you some of the Ball Python hatchlings that I have up for sale over on Morphmarket. I actually signed up for the basic plan. You actually have to pay a monthly fee over on Morphmarket if you want to sell more than just a few snakes. And under the basic plan, I can list a maximum of 15 snakes over there. As a matter of fact, the basic plan is going to upgrade in the middle of February, where now you can post up to 30 snakes under the basic plan, which is pretty cool. And this year I produced, I think it was like 99 hatchlings. I was one shy of producing 100 hatchlings. And I went through all my hatchlings and I counted them up, and it looks like I still have 27 hatchlings that I have to sell so far. And that doesn't include my holdbacks. As a matter of fact, I have like 10 holdbacks. I don't know if I can find enough tubs in my collection to hold all my holdbacks. So maybe some of my holdbacks will be going up for sale too. But I don't know. I really want to hold back all these really nice combinations that I hatched out this year. So what I want to do is I'm going to start pulling out some of these hatchlings. And some of these have really changed since I hatched them out. As a matter of fact, I'd say most of these are coming up probably on like 5 or 6 months old, which is kind of crazy. Some of them are getting really big. Some of them are kind of straggling behind a little bit. Some of them have really changed. My coral glows are starting to develop spots already, which is kind of crazy. I haven't really been in too much of a hurry to sell them over at Morphmarket, so it's kind of interesting watching them grow and mature and really change as they get older. So I'm going to start pulling out some snakes and show you some of the stuff that I have for sale up over on Morphmarket. Alright, so I'm going to start with this one right here. This is Slayer. Take a look at this guy. He's getting a little bbit squirrely. Slayer is a pretty awesome combination. He is actually a male coral glow pastel pinstripe, 50% het pied, and he's also a male maker. So if you breed this to something else, half the offspring come out as coral glows, and all the coral glows will be males. And like 1 in 100 or something like that will actually be a female coral glow if you get lucky. I've been breeding coral glows for years and years, and I have yet to actually produce a female coral glow. Although I do have a banana male maker that produced a female banana pinstripe that's het for clown too. That's one of my holdbacks, which is pretty cool. So in this one, usually if you actually mix pastel in with the coral glow, a lot of times the pastel will kind of get buried in the extremely dominant color of the coral glow. But on this one, you can definitely tell it actually has the pinstripe, and the pinstripe without the pastel will have kind of like the scrunched up alien heads on the side of the snake. And you can definitely tell the addition of the pastel with the pinstripe. You get the lemon blast, which is a really visually dominant jumbled up pattern that you can see pretty clearly in just about any combination when you're mixing pastel in with the pinstripe. So this one definitely has pastel, pinstripe, coral glow, and you can see this one has just a few spots. And with certain genes, you'll actually increase or reduce the number of spots. It looks like the lemon blast slightly reduces the number of freckles that you have on this one. So not too many freckles. I think it's the influence of the pinstripe that's really reducing the freckles, which is pretty interesting. Alright, so take a look at this guy. He is like jumping in his water. I think he has water all over his head. He's had his head under the water. This is Destroyer, and he is a normal possible het desert ghost, and he is a male. Just a normal ball python. Has some interesting pattern on the belly. Kind of interesting. A little bit of checkering, which is pretty cool. Would make an awesome pet. These are usually the least expensive. Just the normals, especially with the possible het. It's a pretty awesome snake right here if you're looking for a pet. Looks like he has pretty much a normal pattern. Nothing really unusual about this guy that I can see as far as anything that could possibly be in there. He's a pretty awesome snake. And these hatchlings, for some reason, they've been really friendly this year. I haven't really been bit at all by any of these hatchlings. Pretty awesome. Alright, so this is Lucky. Lucky is a coral glow, just a straight coral glow. Look at how many little freckles this guy's getting. Pretty awesome. So he's a coral glow, 50% het pied. He's a male and a male maker. You can definitely tell on this one he's kind of got the kind of the alien head patterns. That's pretty typical of the coral glows. And these coral glows are kind of interesting because they start out as almost like a purple and orange, really super bright when they're younger. You can see this one's already starting to change. This one has an interesting head pattern right on top of his head. He even has little freckles right on top of his head, which is pretty awesome. That's a pretty awesome snake right there. Alright, so take a look at this snake. This snake is named Snuggles, and I cannot believe I still have Snuggles. I actually sold this snake twice. It was paid for twice, and the deals fell through, and they decided to, for one reason or another, not to get it. And I probably had, I'd say probably maybe 8 or 9 people ask about shipping on this snake, and for whatever reason I still have this guy. Really beautiful, probably one of the most beautiful snakes that I have here in my collection as far as my hatchlings. And you know, the albino pieds, it's a double recessive, so if you bred this to like a normal or something like that, you'd actually get all normal looking ball pythons. That would be het for albino and het for pied. You can actually see his eye right there. Has a really cute looking head. Really high white on this one. Hardly any color at all. Pretty awesome snake. And I actually produced a female that I held back. I had another male that I sold, so this is the last male that I had. Had a female albino pied that I'm holding back for a future breeder. But these are really stunning snakes. Alright, so we named this one Snoopy. Snoopy is a male, normal, 100% het desert ghost on this one. Pretty awesome. And he's slightly going into a shed, kind of graying out just a little bit. He's getting really super chunky. Pretty awesome, normal looking snake. So this one actually came from my my pastel Enchi desert ghost male. That's how we know it's 100% het desert ghost. And as far as markers for desert ghost, I don't think there's really any markers at all that will indicate that it's desert ghost. You know, sometimes with het pieds, you'll see like the tracks on the belly. This one's got an interesting belly pattern. Kind of a little bit of checkering on that one. Pretty awesome. No Enchi in this as far as I can tell, so the Enchi was in there too. This guy didn't get the Enchi. Looking good. Pretty good looking snake right there. Alright, so here is Goldie. Goldie is also going into shed too. This is a really bright pastel, but you really can't tell because it's going into shed. This is a pastel, 100% het desert ghost male. I'm getting quite a few males this year, which is pretty interesting. You can definitely tell this one definitely has the pastel. Usually the pastels have kind of a green eye. You really can't tell the eyes on this one. The eyes are completely grayed out on this one right now. Looking pretty good though. Usually on your pastels, let's see what the belly looks like. Interesting belly on this one. Really crazy looking belly pattern, which is pretty awesome. That's a good looking snake right there. Alright, so we're getting younger and younger in the snakes, so these snakes will get smaller and smaller as I kind of go through my rack. This guy we named Spot, and Spot is a calico. Look at my version of the calico. It has a really interesting color and pattern on the snake. It almost has like a kind of like a coppery color on the snake. And it's kind of weird with this calico. It actually starts out as kind of a low white, and then as the snake ages and matures, it gets whiter and whiter on the sides until it gets really super white, especially with a lot of combos. I'm not sure with the straight calico how much white's actually going to come in the sides, but I know with like the bamboo calicos, they start out with a really low white, and as they age and mature, they turn into a really high white, which is kind of crazy. You can see the calico really kind of merges all the patterns together on the side of the snake, which is pretty cool. Kind of has a orange belly. You can see, kind of, it almost looks like it's stained. You know, it has like orange and then white and then orange, which is kind of weird. Almost like someone dunked it in like food coloring. It got, you know, these little stains all over the place, which is pretty interesting. And this version of the calico also acts as a dark gene, so you mix it with a lot of other combinations and other genes, it'll actually really turn them dark, which is an interesting version of calico. There's a lot of different versions of calico. Some of them are more yellow. Some of them almost look like a normal ball python with kind of the normal color on the snake, and it just brings in the white on the sides. So this is a really, I think, kind of an unusual version of calico. All right, so take a look at this beauty. This guy is stunning. This guy's name is Destroyer. And the funny thing is, I didn't even realize I have 2 Destroyers listed for sale in these 15 snakes. What are the odds of that? Usually at the beginning of the year, I'll take like one whole sheet of names and I'll cut it up into my jars. I must have run out of names and started using names again. And for some reason, I got 2 Destroyers. So this guy is a lesser triple het, so he's 100% het for albino, pied, and clown, which is pretty crazy. Now you definitely tell the influence of the triple het on the lesser. Kind of brings up some more white in the sides. I think that's from the influence of the clown, bringing in a lot of the white on the sides. It's also interesting, this one has a really strong stripe down most of the snake. That's the influence of the triple het, and it kind of reduces the pattern compared to a regular lesser. So that's pretty awesome. You can breed this to your clowns, your albinos, and your pieds, and you'll actually get visuals. It's a really powerful breeder. All right, so take a look at this one. This guy's name is Soba. Soba is an Enchi, 100% het clown, and he's a male. And he was kind of struggling for a bit. He was on live only. Recently went over to Frozen Thawed. Been doing really good on Frozen Thawed rats and mice. So he's a little bit behind. Sometimes if they kind of lag behind, and they, sometimes they get stuck on live only, and you can't. As a matter of fact, sometimes I have a hard time finding enough live for these guys because I have so many hatchlings, and I use up my lives really quick. But I have plenty of the frozen thawed in the freezer, and once they get over to the frozen thawed, I can feed them a lot more consistently just because of the availability of the food. So this guy's doing really good. You know, the Enchi really reduces the pattern, and this one. You can see there's a kind of a lot of a gold color in this one. I think the gold color is a result of partially the Enchi. A lot of times the Enchi will actually bring out the brightness, but in most cases it's the het clown. Pretty much every single het clown I have in my whole collection, even the normal het clowns, are a lot brighter. And it seems like just the het clown influence really brightens the snake. The Enchi also reduces the pattern. You can see, you pretty much lose a lot of your alien heads. You get a reduced pattern, especially if you have like a super Enchi. You breed 2 Enchis together and get the super. A lot of times you'll reduce the pattern a whole lot, and you'll just have like a little dash right down the top as far as the pattern. And then with the Enchi, the marker for Enchi, you'll actually see like right on the back of the head, the stripe. Right on the back of the head kind of widens and then goes up to kind of the top of the neck. You can actually see right there. This guy's really squirrely. You can see right there on the side of the head, right on the back of the stripe that comes up the head, it widens out, and that's your indicator that you actually have an Enchi. And as far as the belly, we can take a look at the belly on this guy. Looks like an interesting belly pattern. Kind of neat right there. Good looking snake. Pretty awesome. Alright, so take a look at this guy. This guy's name is Cooper. I actually got all these names from people suggesting names in the comment section, and I kind of keep the names year after year. Cooper, as a matter of fact, Cooper is one of the new names that I added to the list this year. So this guy is a male. He's a Coral Glow Pinstripe, 100% het clown. Pretty powerful breeder here. I absolutely love the pinstripe clowns and the banana clowns, if you can actually get a visual clown with 2 copies of the gene. This guy is pretty interesting. It almost looks like he has almost like little paradoxes, like these random spots here, and he's got another one kind of here and here, just kind of random. The other interesting thing about this, take a look at the spots, the little freckles. There are no freckles at all. So you can definitely see the influence of the pinstripe completely takes out all the freckles. out of this guy, which is pretty awesome. You can tell there's no pastel because the pastel would really jumble up the pattern on this guy. Usually the bellies on these bananas are really clear, and the bellies on the pinstripes are really clear too. But that guy's a pretty awesome looking snake. Alright, so take a look at this guy. This guy's name is Bobble. Bobble it's the first time I used Bobble as a name too this year. This guy is pretty awesome. As a matter of fact, I think my favorites that I have for sale right now is that albino pied, of course, and this one. This one's actually banana enchi pinstripe. I absolutely love the combination of the banana and the enchi. This one's also 100% het clown. So this actually came from my banana enchi clown, and I bred it to something with pinstripe in it. And ended up with banana enchi pinstripe het clown. This is a male and a male maker. Pretty awesome snake right there. And essentially what the enchi does is it really reduces the pattern of the pinstripe. You can see usually with the pinstripe it has kind of the scrunched up alien heads. You can see it kind of removes the scrunched up alien heads and kind of widens it out. As a matter of fact, I actually have a video on banana enchi combinations. If you look up that video, you had pretty much anything with banana enchi and you get really amazing results. It's one of my favorite combinations between the banana and the enchi. This one's looking really good. Look at how big it is. Really big and chunky. Pretty awesome. Alright, so take a look at this guy. This is my 12th snake that I have over on Morphmarket. So I'm going to have to find 3 more. I'll kind of surprise you as far as what I can find in my collection here, and I'll do those next. This guy's name is Honey. Honey is a Coral Glow 100% het pied. This is the first year I actually produced Coral Glow 100% het pieds. Usually most of them are 50% het pied. So this one actually was my het pied bred to my visual pied, and I got some het pieds and some Coral Glow het pieds. This one has some freckles coming in. You can definitely see freckles. This is kind of like the normal freckling you'd see on a banana or a Coral Glow. If you add pinstripe, it looks like it takes it away. If you add genes like black pastel, you'll get almost like 2 or 3 times the freckling with adding a lot of your dark genes to the Coral Glows and the bananas. Usually they have a pretty clear belly. This guy, it seemed like every single year with my Coral Glows and bananas, I've always had really mellow snakes, kind of the most gentle snakes as far as being aggressive, which is pretty interesting. I think the most aggressive hatchlings I ever had were my double hets, my albino pied double hets. Anything with the double head albino pied was really snappy last year. It was crazy. And I didn't produce anything this year with the double hets from the albino pied that was really snappy like last year, which is kind of crazy. Well, this guy is doing fantastic. Alright, so now I need to find 3 more snakes to post over on Morphmarket. Let's see what I can find here in my collection. Alright, so I decided to add this one to the snakes that I have for sale over on Morphmarket. As a matter of fact, I didn't even know if this was a male or a female. I had to break out my probe kit to figure it out. This one is a female, one of the few females that I have over on Morphmarket right now. Her name is Fluffy. She is a normal, possible het desert ghost. The ID on this one is C0721, which is, she's from the 7th clutch of the year, which is pretty awesome. She's getting really big. So my possible het desert ghosts, I'm pretty sure they're 50% het. Someone said that the male that I used, that they proved it out and produced a visual desert ghost, meaning that one is probably 100% desert ghost. So that would mean that this one is probably 50%. There's a 50% chance this contains 1 copy of the recessive desert ghost gene. Look at that belly on that one. That's kind of a crazy looking belly on that one. Really checkered on the side. It's kind of interesting. Almost looks like almost like a yellow belly pattern on the side, which is kind of interesting. Goes all the way up the belly. That's a pretty nice looking snake. Awesome. All right, so take a look at this guy. This guy's name is Cobra. Cobra is a Corglow, 50% het pied. This is a male maker. Kind of the interesting thing about this one is I have this kind of unknown mystery gene floating around in my collection that's kind of hidden in my Corglow that I bought, my original Corglow that I've been breeding to everything to make all these hatchlings. And I think I kind of nailed down that gene. I think it could be like a mystic or a phantom. It's a really dark gene. I was thinking maybe it's an unknown gene kind of floating around, maybe a new gene or something like that. I kind of had this dinker project, but the last snake that I looked at in one of my last videos, I'm kind of leaning towards maybe mystic. I think I made like a pastel mystic that came from that. Now I think this one may actually have that gene. And the reason I say that is because you can see this one's a little bit darker as far as the background, and it kind of reduces the spots a little bit, and it kind of jumbles up the pattern a little bit, kind of like in my parent, my male Corglow that's 100% het pied that I bought. So I think this might have the unknown gene, whatever it is, kind of floating around. And keep in mind, if it is mystic or phantom, you know, a lot of people think the mystic and the phantom are the same gene, but they're both in the blue-eyed leucistic complex. So if you bred this to another blue-eyed leucistic, potentially you could get an all-white snake with blue eyes, if that's really what that gene is. You know, sometimes I can see in some of these Corglows that kind of unknown gene kind of floating. Now I think I'm almost 100% sure it's actually in this guy. Pretty awesome snake. Alright, so take a look at this one. This is the last one I wanted to show you. This one, I didn't even realize I had this in my collection. It was kind of hiding out in the back waiting for an open slot over on Morphmarket, and I just probed it. I come to find out this one is a female, another female, which is pretty awesome. And it has pretty awesome genetics. This is a pastel pinstripe Enchi, 100% het desert ghost, and a female too. As a matter of fact, I'm almost tempted to hold this one back because it is pretty awesome. All those genes work really well with Desert Ghost. And of course with the Lemon Blast, usually with the pastel and the pinstripe, you have pretty bright green eyes, if you can actually see the eyes on this guy. If you can see it there, I don't know if you can see the eye color. It's almost as bright as some of the bumblebees that I've seen, although this one doesn't have any spider in it. And usually with the Lemon Blast, the belly is usually really clear on these Lemon Blasts. And it seems like this one is really super bright compared to a lot of your pastel pinstripes, and I think it's the addition of the Enchi that's really bringing out a lot of the brightness of the pastel. Sometimes the Enchi can have kind of a lightening and a brightening effect with a lot of your combinations with certain versions of Enchi. Look at how bright that is, like super bright. And you can definitely tell the Enchi kind of reduces the lines of the Lemon Blast into kind of like these little squiggly lines. That's kind of a giveaway. And on this one, I don't know if you can really see the line on the back of the head that kind of gives away the Enchi. Usually you can't see the kind of the Enchi line on the head. With these Lemon Blasts, you kind of have to look at maybe you can see it a little bit there. But a lot of times you can just look at the pattern and see that the Enchi's in there. And 100% het Desert Ghost, which is pretty awesome. Alright, so that's it for what I'm putting over on Morphmarket. So it looks like I have another like 9 snakes that I'll eventually be putting over there, which is pretty awesome. Alright guys, thanks for coming along. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.